Anyway, this is our great chat with Steve Cataldo, who actually kind of helped us pronounce his name. What did he say? He would rather, you should have changed it to Go Johnny Go or something. Anyway, it was really great to find out about the old Boston days and the music scene back then, as well as the music scene today. Really loving the new album by them, Rock and Roll Your Heart Away. And it sounds like there's more music coming out.
Yep.
So check them out. Definitely a modern day classic.
Nervous eaters are just right in our strike zone. Absolutely. So we're digging the new album big time. I love the artwork. That picture is just so great. It just screams power pop,
Yeah, I didn't have much to do with that, but it's really cool, and I thank them for doing it.
Yeah. Something about the purple and just something about it.
The last two albums were kind of both purple. I didn't know if there's any significance to that or just luck of the
That's
draw.
the wicked color. They're all
Gotcha.
about purple.
Oh, okay.
We're all Ravens here, so we got that.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
So you didn't know the people on the cover?
I mean, who did the cover?
I mean, the actual people that are
Yeah,
pictured.
the actual people pictured, the couple.
Well, yeah, I think there's a group called Girl with a Hawk. She's
Okay.
in Boston. That's a great singer. And Adam Sherman signed this cover.
Okay.
I believe. But what do I know? Yeah, I think he did.
So I love the story about how you got your name, that it was because a mom was saying you were jumping up and down because you were trying to practice and eat. So who kind of latched onto that as a name as opposed to the rhythm assholes, which is kind of not as catchy?
I like the Rhythm Assholes. I think that's a great name. Yeah.
That didn't help us out too much. We had to change to the rhythm A's in order to play out. So yeah, Florence Wilkinson, sweet gal, mother of our drummer Jeff Wilkinson, who has passed away, unfortunately. But as you know, the story is true. We used to come up one at a time. Whenever there was a break or we were explaining chords to somebody, somebody else would go up and eat. After a while, she said, "Why don't you just all come up at the same time? You're a bunch of nervous eaters." And that's how it happened.
That's funny.
Stuck with us.
Yeah, Rhythm Assholes, it reminded me of the band Overkill. They were originally called the Lubricants, which I thought they should have. That might have limited FM airplay.
Catchy name.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
So I know the Rathskeller is no more, but back then I love the Rock and Roll Your Heart Away as an homage to those times. What were the factors that made it such a great vibe there, do you think?
Well, I think every city just at that time had a scene going. It's just something that happened at that time. It's, Atlanta, Los Angeles, Seattle, New York, of course. And the Rat was, it was actually Oedipus, who had a radio show at MIT, his own radio show, and Miss Lynn from Boston Groovy News, and Jimmy Harrell were kind of the trio satellite that set that scene in motion, and it just set right from there. And they kept it going. They really lit the fire because everybody wanted their music to be on Oedipus's show or in Miss Lynn's Boston Groovy News. Newspaper.
Yeah.
And Jimmy was a great guy. He just loved music. He loved bands. He gave them a stage to play on. So
yeah,
that's about that.
That makes a good place.
Well, when Nervous Eaters were playing out in the mid 70s, was Aerosmith already blowing up, or did you know those guys beforehand, or what was their deal versus yours?
Yeah, they came out with their album before everybody. They were in a different music scene,
Yeah, yeah.
a harder rock and roll, worldwide type type
So they
of
were already on
fast.
their, they were already kind of on their way.
Yeah, took a while for Dream On to get picked up and become the hit that it was, but slowly but sure, they made it. I mean, they were doing high schools and all kinds of
Yeah,
weird gigs when they were starting out.
that's
But
so cool. That's cool that you were around for that. That's so cool. Yeah.
there was a a concert hall called the Orpheum, and it was kind of a midway to doing your arenas and stuff like that. And a lot of groups came in, Iggy, Patti Smith, and Aerosmith. So that was they played the local clubs and stuff like that. But once you got on the Orpheum stage, you were kind of on your way to going across the country.
Yeah.
That was the jumping off point.
What I read Joe Perry's book, he said that they just wanted to rival Jay Giles because Jay Giles was like gods at that point, you know.
Yeah. Well, they did a lot of gigs in Worcester. They were,
Okay.
just like Tom Petty, a bar band, and a great bar band. And Peter Wolf was, he had a radio show on BCN. He was the Master Blaster. He was on at 1 o'clock in the morning, I think. It was
Yeah.
super. So,
So, if you could go back to that very first album, that self-titled album today, is there anything you would change or do over, or would you leave it just like it is?
which record are you talking about?
The very first one, the self-titled.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wouldn't have gone out to Los Angeles if that's the one you're talking about,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Mercedes Yellow album. I wouldn't have done that. Um, I would have said, let's take that money and build a little studio in Boston or somewhere in the area, record our own basic tracks and overdubs, then take it someplace and mix it. Then we could have recorded other groups and gone on to do more records there. But instead, we just wasted it going to Los Angeles, and that was, which a lot of groups did at that time, but didn't serve us very well till later on when we um, did another record with Rick Hart from Ace of Hearts Records. Great guy. We did a really nice record with him.
What was touring like for you guys in the early days? I mean, were you mainly staying in the Northeast in the early days, or were you hitting the whole country in terms of touring?
No, we stayed in the Northeast, Detroit, Washington, Philly, that area.
Gotcha.
Um, Later on, uh, we went on the road with everybody from the Ramones, Iggy, the Pretenders. We did a lot of gigs with them, doing a lot of colleges, and so we had a great time for
What was
years.
the tour with? What was it like touring with the Pretenders? Did you get to meet James Honeyman Scott?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
that's the
that's
tour we were on with them. He was a great guy. Very nice.
yeah,
Peter was cool, and Chrissy kind of stayed to herself a little bit, but
yeah,
they were they were killer, just killer. Yeah.
yeah.
So, if you could pick like your favorite band that you opened for, was there one that you just really loved?
Well, I love Jay Giles. We did a bunch of shows with them, and they were they're really good. We did one show in Augusta with them at the Civic Center, and uh, we were told not to use the platform that went out front that Peter would go walk out on, and we got too excited, and of course walked out on that platform,
Uh-huh.
and I was playing my lead and stuff, and this kid reached up like I thought he was, just raising his hands and stuff, but he grabbed the jack from my guitar and pulled it out. So I didn't have any. I'm riffing away, and there's nothing coming out of my guitar. I looked down on it, saw my cord dangling in the wind. Get
Oh,
back in,
gee.
then got out. and realized I was told that for a reason. So it was pretty funny. Good to be there.
Yeah, the bootlegs and the live albums I heard from that era with Jay Giles, it always sounds like that the crowd's just going to tear the place apart. They get so into the boogie, you know.
Yeah, they whipped him up big
Yeah.
time. And we played with him in Detroit, and that was really weird because just about 6 o'clock at that particular time, everything on Main Street or were around where we're doing the gig shut down, and these like iron bars came down, and they just locked up everything. I guess must have been a
Yeah.
tough area,
Yeah.
but it's one thing I remember about Detroit.
Yeah, that has to be I bet that was like some of the craziest fan interactions was that whole area, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah. So some of the early days, what was some of the best advice and worst advice you got, you know, when you were a young band?
everybody was into kind of doing their own thing,
Uh-huh.
and I think we compete a lot. At least the groups that played at the Rat, the Neighborhoods, the Real Kids. It, we'd go see each other play, and that band would have a great song, and we go, "Wow, we've got to come up with a better song." We'd run back, try to write a better song in our set. So competition was a good thing.
Did you play shows with the Modern Lovers at all?
No, we Jonathan Richman hung out with our drummer Jeff at his house,
Oh, cool.
and we went to see them. We went to see them at a club in Beverly called Sandy's Jazz and Blues Club, and they were great. They knocked you out right away. They had a very unique stage presence, and
Yeah.
they were. It was. You knew it. They were different, and
Yeah.
so we went and saw a bunch of their shows, and became friends with them.
That's
And
cool.
David Robinson played with the Cars, and
Yeah.
Jerry went on with the Talking Heads, and
Yeah. That's cool.
So Rick Ocasek I was reading that there were some demos that are lost. Have they ever been found that he wrote for you?
well, we have it on that. So, and they're rough mixes. So I don't know what anybody could do with that. But they moved their studio from Boston, Synchro Sound, to New York, and it might have got lost or something. I don't know how many tapes got lost or misplaced um, when they did that move. So that's what happened. All we have is a cassette recording of those, the whole album actually.
Oh, wow.
Should have
Yeah,
went with that in hindsight, because some of the Cars played on it, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, and Rick produced it, so
Yeah.
would have been a smart move.
Yeah.
But the time machine I have just won't fucking work.
Yeah. I
So,
understand.
God damn it.
I know. Yeah. Hmm. Well, you did a bunch of shows with the Ramones. What were they like? I mean, I read an interview where you said that they weren't sitting around eating pizza all day like people think.
No, no. Um, uh, Jonathan Paley was in the Eaters, and he was great friends with them. He sang on some of their records, and so we get to do a lot of shows with them through Jonathan, who hooked us up. And they were good guys. We had a lot of laughs. Hard-working band, boy. Really hard-working guys.
Yeah. They never really blew up the way everybody thought they would, even with the Rock and Roll High School movie and everything on it. Just the strangest thing, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I saw them everywhere. I mean, we were out in Los Angeles. They were there playing a ballroom. Uh,
Yeah.
and no matter where they played, they filled that arena or audience,
That's so
the club.
cool. Yeah.
So I love the cover for Eat This. Who had the idea for like the Oscar Mayer wiener hot dog looking package?
Um, on Yeah, I think that's was just the graphic artist who worked for Elektra at that time. Came up with
Yeah,
that.
that was a cool idea.
Yeah, it really went well. I noticed like the last this album, the other album are more kind of like relationship songs, although, you know, I still love stuff like, you know, Shit for Brains and um but I which is also a good thing to do.
Yeah, yeah.
But going back to Hot Steel and Acid, did you guys ever get any flack for the Nazi concentration camp blues?
No, actually, I was out in Los Angeles once. Uh, we weren't playing it. We were just out there, and we heard it on the radio. We were riding down the highway and
Wow.
came on the radio. We just freaked out. Went, yes, cranked it up. It sounded great. Um, Before we recorded that, a road manager was actually touring with their real kids in Europe, and they were in Germany at that time, and he played that for some record executives out there, and they didn't know what to make of it. They
I
kind
guess
of
not.
freaked out. Showed him the door.
Mm.
Showed him the door. But really, it's not a homage to Nazis or anything. It's just a song.
Yeah.
I think back then people had more of a sense of humor than they do these days, with everything having to be, you know, but I hate that about this era that everything's got to be, oh, that's not PC. You know, it's like a tongue in cheek, you know. I
It's
get a sense of
very, yeah,
humor.
very punk rock. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Kill by Death is a list of all the groups that they've recorded, and the names are incredible. Uh,
Yeah.
People are so inventive, you know.
Yeah.
So you guys have a lot of songs like with women in them, you know, like Evelyn and I Chad was even one and
Loretta.
Loretta.
Loretta, of course, yeah.
And off of this one, you know, were any of these real people? Oh, and Charlene, were any of these real people at all? I mean, Chad seems like it might have been.
Yeah, Chad is a real person, and and she ended up moving out west somewhere. I lost contact with her. I always thought she would come back to Boston, but um, she didn't. And Loretta was just a composite of people I knew. And actually, sometimes I used names of people from my relatives. I had an Aunt Loretta, but I wasn't thinking of her when I wrote the song. I just borrowed.
Right, right, right. The names are changed to protect the innocent, right? Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And Charlene was just thought up, you know. So it was just a story.
Yeah, a lot of times it's like if it's that multi-syllable name, it kind of grabs it a little better and a little more conducive to the beat.
Yeah.
I also like that you include, you know, like with Evelyn and zombies and sapphires and vampires, you know, is that kind of a homage to a little bit of horror. Are you a horror movie fan or a particular?
You bet. You bet. Sure. Um, Film noir, all the great oldies, um, Bela Lugosi and Boris. And I dig all that. But Eva Lynn I was just trying to put pictures in people's mouths. Trying to be, bring up ideas or pictures that they could see in their mind. So that's how that
Mm.
song came about.
Really
I
cool.
like the song a lot, though. I have a great time playing it.
Yeah, that's a great villain name, Eveline.
What about the video shoot for Vampire? How did that go? That looked like you guys had a good time making that one.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch it. My
The video shoot for Vampire. It looked like you guys had a lot of fun making that video. Where was that filmed at?
it was filmed in Watertown at Vincent. He's the guy who did all those videos. Um, and so he has a rock and roll movie coming out fairly pretty soon about Boston, the Rat Days and everything. Should be pretty cool. Yeah,
Oh,
but
that is cool. Yeah.
we had a lot of fun doing that. Yeah, his shop is in a pretty creepy building, old elevators and everything. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it looked really on point. I wanted to ask for In the Shadows. I love the ideas and themes and that kind of ominous love's gonna die in the shadows. What were kind of the things that inspired those thoughts?
Well, Adam sure that. Um, and I told everybody that was a great song at the record company, and I thought that they should really have promoted it. I don't want to get myself in trouble, but they do what they think is best. But I agree with you. I think it's a good song.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
How has your experience with this label been as opposed to some of the others that, well, you weren't on the label and then you were with others. Were there good and bad label experiences?
Well, we didn't have the best time with Elektra. Our album came out at the same time with the Cars and a group from the Midwest. I think they were called the Kings,
Mhm.
and they saw a lot more mileage out of the Kings and the Cars than they did on our record. So it kind of got pushed back somewhat. But Wicked Cool is just the best record company to be with. Everybody there's just solid and a great person. And Steve Van Zandt is he's just a madman. No, he's on tour with Bruce Springsteen all the time, but
Yeah.
we're not doing that. He's back in New York doing all kinds of stuff. He's just a busy guy.
Yeah.
But everybody there is great, you know. Uh, Kurt Baker works there now, and you can uh, you can get a hold of him. It's not like you have to listen to it. You get his secretary, and he'll call you back and all that stuff. You have to talk to
Yeah.
them right away. So it's great
It always
company.
it always seems like he's always giving back. We were talking to another group, Gentlemen Rogues, and he got their song on the streaming platform.
His satellite
Yeah,
video show. Yeah. Yeah.
and that actually, paid better than Spotify.
Yeah. That's what he said. That's what we heard. Yeah. So
Well,
yeah,
yeah, there's a lot of days of the underground garage. So
the so when you heard the Cars album, was there any thinking, well, if we had gotten Roy Thomas Baker, was there any of that? Yeah.
that's why I ended up meeting Roy when I
Did
worked at
you?
Pierce Arrow Studios much later on in Chicago. I lived out in Chicago for a while.
Yeah.
And he was a crazy guy. He was there with Cheap Trick and
Okay.
studio I was at. But that's a good question because we had done a lot of gigs with them all over the place, the Cars. They were Captain Swing previous to that. Then they changed the name to Cars, which was a great move. And as soon as we heard that record kept on the radio, we knew it was just going to be monster. And it did. Song after song
Yeah.
was just a cavalcade of hits.
Yeah.
But I think they were surprised as well when it went just
It took off.
monster. I think they were crazy. They were crazy about the idea of all the multi vocals like Queen. But after they heard, the mixes and everything, they understood what it was and they went with it.
Yeah.
Good thing they did because
Yeah.
look what happened.
So it matters, you know what I mean? Like when they give you this amazing producer, that can change your whole career.
Absolutely. If you've got
Yeah.
halfway decent songs, that cat can mold it into something great, because he's got the tools, the
Totally.
know-how, and he's an engineer to boot.
So for the writing process, I love how the songs, especially on this one, are so full of so many hooks and rhythms that really pull you in, or just repeated words. Do you start with hooks, or do they just kind of happen as you write?
They just happen as you write. Everybody has a different approach of writing. Some people start with music, other people write lyrics and poetry and then put it to music. So, um, and then as you're writing it and you're listening to it back in your home or your studio, and you go, oh man, that's, and you kind of fix it up a little bit, do some surgery so it doesn't stink. So.
Uh, So what are some good things about, I mean, it's a testament that you guys are still doing this after all these years. What are some good things about changes in music industry now? Like what are some things that are good about now versus then, and what are some bad things?
I think a long time ago it was easy to get on the radio, and radio was really cool. Um, and some of it's still good, but it's just like not it's not like the old days. And Steve Van Sant, he gets a big laugh when we talk about it. And he always goes, "It's not the old days, buddy." So, and he's right. It's just it's a little
Yeah.
it's a little harder. But you know what? Scenes happen in a giant circle, and a different scene, a new scene will start popping up all over the place, and music will come along with it, and I think it will. So
You just need like Miley Cyrus to be seen in a Nervous Eaters t-shirt or something like that, and then you'll be, you know what I mean? That's kind of how precarious it is these days, you know.
yeah, it's a good idea. I better get that out.
Get your PR guy on that, right?
I will. Have you seen this record?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Punk 45, kill the hippies, kill yourself. It's a
I,
pretty
I
good.
do have a I do have a really good compilation that Rhino did called The Boston Scene, and it's
Yeah,
got like really obscure I don't know if you know it, but it's got like the Romantics, and you guys are on it, and the Cars
right.
early demos.
Right.
It's great.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
you get a
good.
good it really captures, well, Rhino has always been really good at that, but it really captures the scene really well. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, they're
Yeah.
smart guys. They do good products.
Yeah.
I was honored to have my song on there with everybody.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole scene.
Yeah.
So should we play our game?
Yeah.
We play a game on our show. It's random questions with me. I'm Stace. So I have 100 questions in front of me, numbered 1 to 100. So I want you to pick 5 numbers, and those will be the questions you'll answer.
Uh-oh. Okay. Let's see. Uh, 5, 10, 15, 20, 70.
Okay.
All right, number 5. Do you think aliens exist? And if so, what do you think they look like?
Well, that's a good question. Yes, I do. And I think it depends on the planet and atmosphere that they come from. I think if there are any aliens here, they've sent like a robotic type craft because the G forces would probably tear them apart when they're going left and right, up and down in 2 seconds. So, but who knows what the physics is from their worlds?
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as they don't have a cookbook that says how to serve men, I'm with it.
Yeah, remember
Yeah,
that.
you
Remember
bet.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
How to Serve Man.
How to serve, yeah, to serve man. That was a great
I
one,
love
man.
that.
It sure was.
And
Number 10. What is an Olympic sport that doesn't exist but should?
Hmm. Well, I Probably the one where all the cats get together and that whatever the town is and eat those hot dogs in about whatever it is, 5 minutes. How many hot dogs can you eat?
Yeah,
All they
competitive
do is
eating.
get into the Guinness Book of World Records. They don't really get a medal, I don't think.
And it's always the real skinny, like Asian guys too, where you're like, how are you putting down 37 hot dogs when you weigh 95 pounds, you know?
Can you imagine
Always got
practicing for that?
practicing. Yeah.
Go, baby.
Oh, I
Uh,
love it. Number 15, which movie did you watch repeatedly as a kid?
War of the Worlds.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
did,
They had
did you
this
like
movie.
the
What's that?
Tom Cruise remake of it? Do you think it was good?
Uh, yeah, it was good. He does great stuff.
Hmm.
I still go back to the original, though. You know,
Yeah.
there was a movie, black and white, early one called "It Came from Beyond Space," and it was these guys land on Mars. There's a rescue mission. They get, and this monster sneaks on board, and then they head back towards Earth. And guys down in the below decks getting something. The monster kills him, stuffs him in the vent. Slowly he starts killing everybody. And what they do is they lure him up to the um, to the top deck and get in these suits. And when he comes through, they open the doors and the air is sucked out, and he dies from lack of oxygen or whatever it is. And Alien ripped it off totally. It's the
I was
same,
just gonna say, you just described Alien. Yeah, yeah.
right? Yeah. When I saw Alien, I said, "That's it from beyond space and stuff." So,
Yeah.
but he's a good
Funny.
director,
Yeah.
Ridley.
20, what is your favorite kind of ice cream?
Ben and Jerry's Jerry Garcia.
Hmm.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
could eat that whole.
unfortunately.
I-
Yeah, that's where you say you're just gonna have a little, and next thing you know, the whole pint's gone. You know.
Right. All right. 4 or 5
That's it.
pints of my freezer. It's not a
Exactly.
habit, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I made him, we have this ice cream machine. He wanted me to make jalapeno ice cream, and I made it.
It was really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I had vanilla and cinnamon in there too, but it was the jalapeno. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Now I want her to make jalapeno alcoholic ice cream. That's her
I'm
next
I'm
challenge.
working on it.
Yuck.
Uh, Number 70, would you rather cook dinner or clean up?
I'm pretty lazy. Clean up.
Okay.
I can cook.
Okay.
I bet you can make some reservations. That's what I always say.
Mm.
Well, there's one dish I can make outside of popcorn and hamburgers is cranberry chicken.
Oh, okay.
On the
French
gro
dressing, onion soup mix, whole cranberries, and you mix it up with sauce, put it in the refrigerator and let it gel. Then pour it over your chicken, stick it in the oven for an hour, 350. Killer stuff.
That sounds really good.
Nervous Eaters Recipes, Volume 1.
Yeah. Good idea. Why didn't I think
Yeah.
of that?
That's content creation, as they say. Yes.
Um, so do you still seek out new music? And if so, who do you find most interesting in the music industry right now?
You know, I I'd like to do that. I really can't because I'll start writing like somebody else. I'm afraid that I will.
Yeah.
So I basically stick with all my oldies, Link Ray, Muddy Waters, and the Beatles, um, stuff like that. The early stuff.
Yeah.
Dwayne Eddy, Ventures.
I love the consistent sound that you've had, it's to this day, it still sounds like like a throwback style, but yet it's new stuff. So I love that.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you. I agree with you.
very consistent. Yeah, yeah.
So what's coming up next for you guys?
Well, our next record with Wicked Cool, and we're just sending them the songs we have now and seeing what they think. And then hopefully we'll go in and record them. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up.
That's great.
And the, we always kind of change personnel every couple of years or so. It just happens that way. People get busy, do their own projects, and so we're actually back to the trio that made the first Wicked Cool album.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's so
Dave,
cool.
Brad, and I. So, which got us the deal. End of the World Girl got us the record deal for Wicked Cool. So we're back, doing that type of material, kind of harder sound.
Yeah,
That's awesome. I love the fact you still put lots of piano in there and jazz it up.
yeah.
That's Steve Van Sant's idea. He wanted that piano there, organ.
I bet he's got some stories.
Oh yeah, I bet he does. Well, you read his book, didn't you? It
I
was
haven't read
killer.
his book. No,
Oh, you
It's on my
should.
list though.
It
Yeah.
mirrors it mirrors just about what every other group did through their history. As you read it through the chapters, you go, "I did that. We did that." So, but it's cool the way he wrote it, way he worded it. So
I'll have
Yeah,
to.
good
I
read.
love
I like it.
reading. I love reading, rock books from like the 70s and 80s where you get to hear like, Blue Oyster Cult only gave us 10 feet of backline, stuff like that. Like, I love that it's been 20 years and I can finally fucking say this, like,
Right, right. Yeah.
because that was such a big deal back then, it's like,
Oh, he was reading me parts of like the Kiss manager who wrote that book about their crazy Brazil tours, and they had all this stuff, and when they got there, there was no venue, there was no nothing.
yeah, my favorite rock
Wow.
book is written by Kiss's old accountant.
Yeah.
And so it's nothing but their horrible ideas and wasting money, and it's totally unauthorized. And yeah, it's great because it's like they would have a meeting where they would say, "We're hemorrhaging money on this tour. So far, inst all the dates are getting canceled, and we're losing $10,000 a week." And then Gene Simmons would say something like, "But I'm still a millionaire, aren't I?" Yeah, it's a great book. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that group and Alice Cooper, they really were theatrical, kind of vaudevillian type of thing, even though
Oh yeah.
Kiss
Yeah.
is more comic book oriented, but hardworking guys. Well, how about this story? You have time for one more story?
Yes.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay. So I'm a kid and I'm at the local music store, as I always would go in there probably every other day to bug the people. And the door opens, and in walks these four guys in race suits with really long hair. And of course, you can see pictures and stuff of it, but when you see it in person, it's like the Beatles just walked in. It was the Barbarians from Provincetown.
Oh
They,
wow.
Oh my God.
they were on their way up to Boston or way maybe to film the Tammy show or something. And they just look really pristine. They were super looking and nice guys too. They played
That's
around
cool.
the cable, of course.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
yeah, anyways, it was cool to be a kid and see that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did you say anything, or were you just kind of like, star?
I kind of said, like, wow. Then I went home. I tried to pull my little hair over my ears, trying to see if I could get it a little longer, which was not to be till years later.
Yes, it's the thing. Like younger kids, like they don't understand. Like when we were growing up, the guys that worked the counter at the record store, like they would, if you brought up the wrong record, they would give you shit for it. I don't know if you had that, but I did. They would be like,
Yeah.
seriously, you should be buying television, not Iron Maiden. What are you doing? Like And you were like ashamed.
Yeah, the lady who owned that music store and was the cashier was really this crotchety old lady. I don't know how she sold anything. I was like afraid to bring something up to the counter.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. Like kids now will never have that. They'll never have that feeling of dread where you're like, I really want to buy this, but I feel pressure to buy that,
Yeah.
Or
Well,
kids today will never know having to look at an album cover and buy it just based on that. Never being able to hear a note. There was no
We
Spotify.
bought albums based on the t-shirts that the bands we liked wore. You know what I mean?
uh,
So
yeah,
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 that was the era. Yeah.
the album's a tactile enjoyment of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I hadn't seen people wearing Misfit shirts, I would have never checked them out. I just was like, oh, this has to be good. Look at the shirts. Henry
A reg
Rollins has a Misfits tattoo. They must be great.
a regular
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.